What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Trey the Brute Daniels, and welcome to another episode of the Indie Corner. Actually, not just an episode, the season finale of the Indie Corner. Yes, indeed. It's been a heck of a run, but I need a break. Well, as you all know, on the Indie Corner, I sit down with everybody in the independence community, writers, artists, directors, producers. Doesn't matter if you're in the game. I want to talk to you. So today we have ourselves actually a very, very unique opportunity with somebody that has very, very unique ideas, which I cannot wait to break down. He is the founder of the Dream Volution. Give it up, everybody, for Nathan Murray.
Hello, everyone.
What is going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Woke up this morning a little late, but I'm here.
We all have those days. Believe you me, we all have those days. But I'm so glad I still got the opportunity this morning to sit down and talk to you, trying to get you on in a little while. But I'm so glad we actually have this chance now to sit down and chit chat a bit about this fine work that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, before we even jump into all the great and cool, wonderful things you're cooking up on, let's just get to know you a little bit. Like, so where are you from? How did we get here?
I grew up in a small town in Michigan. Moved around a little bit, and then I've always had I always like playing video games and things like that. So I guess that's kind of where some of my imagination comes from.
Same.
Yeah, Everquest was one of my favorite games.
Good game.
So that's kind of where some of my ideas came from. Little imagination. I moved around a little bit, got back to Michigan. My wife's parents and my parents now live all in the same city.
Okay.
So that's kind of like a brief overview of where I'm at now. The idea for this came up about 3 years ago.
Okay. All right. Cool beans. So you mentioned that EverQuest. Have you always been a fan of RPGs and that genre?
Yeah, all different kinds of games, really. Growing up, I always did opposite of what my friends had. Like, they had Nintendo, I had Sega. Because
Same.
Then Sega.
Yeah,
No.
It's the best.
So I liked having the opposite of what they had, because then we could all have all the games, really, versus just one segment of them. EverQuest itself, I started playing, strangely enough, like probably the first 2 months it came out. Very difficult game. And then I quit playing. Then I moved out to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Okay. And some of the guys I worked with at Circuit City, mind you.
Oh, boy.
They played EverQuest, and my account was still available, so we logged in and we all just started creating characters and end up ruining our lives for 2 or 3 years.
That sounds right. That sounds about right. And I feel you on that, Nathan. I grew up in a Sega household.
Nice.
So I had every Sega product known to man.
Do you have the activator?
Oh, you better believe it. Trash, but you better believe it.
Yes. It did nothing that they said it did.
It was worth less than nothing. I still have them packed up, and I call it my retirement box. I call it my retirement box. I had the Sega Genesis, I had the 32X, I had the Sega CD, I had the Sega Saturn, and of course my favorite console of all time, the Dreamcast. I even had the Game Gear that took 8 batteries.
It was awesome, though.
It was. It had great graphics, a backlight.
Yeah,
that thing was tremendous.
Yeah,
it was tremendous. It just took too many batteries, bro. 8 batteries. That's a whole pack of Duracell.
Yeah, all my allowance went right to batteries.
Yes, batteries weren't cheap back then neither.
No.
But that's great to see how you got your creative juices flowing. For sure. Video games has also inspired me to write, and so many other people like yourself. And video games always help to get those juices flowing. So you've been playing EverQuest and all these other great games, hailing the Sega name. So how did we transition from just being like just a, well, first of all, let me ask, were you a fan of comics before you got into comics?
See, that's the thing. I liked comics, but I didn't really ever buy them too much. And I know, hopefully that doesn't upset the community.
No.
But like I always had baseball cards or football cards or things like that. And I had a couple comics here and there, but I never read them or anything. I was always more visual. Like I liked watching the movie. And I know you always miss stuff from the actual storyline, but I just always liked movies. I wanted to move to California and work for DreamWorks. I just never did it. So I always wanted to create a video game or get into the movie side of it, CGI, and I just never did. So this is where, like, 3 years ago, I walked away from my job to start my own business. And then I took a month off and I wrote all 5 series.
Oh, wow. So basically, you didn't really come up as a comic book fan, but
Right.
you were a fan of the creative process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
I absolutely love artistic people, the illustrations. And that's one of the reasons why in the book, I wanted to give insight to like a single scene illustration. So I have 25 different illustrators from all over the world in that book. So not only are my dreams different, but the interpretations of them are. So it helps showcase them too, and that's what I appreciate. I mean, because it's absolutely, like, I can do stick figures really well. Oh, it's absolutely amazing to me when people can just see something like that and explode it.
Exactly. So the stick figure game, you and me both. Our stick figure game is going to be bananas. Anything outside of that, however.
Right.
No dice. Okay, so cool. So you began this fandom of the creative process. So how did we go from that aspect of going in your head to wanting to be into the comic business itself?
So, like I said, about 3 years ago, I've always had weird dreams, and some of them are really vivid and some of them are a little hazy, but I can still remember them. And then, some you wake up, you just can't remember. Some are so vivid, I can remember like 3-4 days from now, and then I can just write them right on down. And I've always had those, and I just never did anything with it, right? And I posted a dream on Facebook about 3 years ago. It was an oddball dream, and someone mentioned to do a blog. So I kind of started a small blog, and I started posting dreams. And before I knew it, I had, in like 6 months, about 80 dreams on there.
Oh my God.
And then it was okay. The blog was okay, but I sat down at the kitchen table one night and I laid out a whole goal idea of what I wanted. It started with the book, the Dream Journal book, and then I branched off, and I still have the original paperwork. It branched off into a couple comics. The reason why I did that is because I started asking people to create single scene illustrations for the dreams in comic Facebook groups.
Okay.
And some people started mentioning, hey, this might be kind of a cool comic. So that's when I sat down and brainstormed. And about an hour and a half, I had the whole idea of like the series being one book, evolving to 4 comics, and then writing the graphic novel.
Gotcha. That's cool. And see, I've always loved asking that question about how we got here, because so many different creators have so many different paths of how they went from either a fan of comics or a fan of movies or a fan of cartoons or a fan of video games or not a fan of anything at all, and then somehow, some way found their way to this type of creative medium. And so I think your journey is definitely much different than some that I've heard before, and I think that's pretty cool. To see how it just started off with literally you sleeping.
It is. It's all. These are all my personal dreams. Some people don't believe it, but I mean, I have them all the time.
And now your myth will grow. Nathan Murray, the king of dreams. That's cool. So let's talk a little bit about this. Let's talk about the Dream Volution. So how did you start writing like number one, or how you wrote these series? Like how did the creative process go? So we know you obviously had these dreams, but then do you wake up in the middle of the night and just start scribbling? Like how do we start going from dreams to the paper to the print?
So a little bit of that process was from the blog. The blog kept me disciplined enough to write the dreams down. And then in the blog, while I was searching for illustrators, when they made the single scene, I would post that picture on the blog too. And it just wasn't driving a lot of traffic, and that was okay because I kind of used that as my notebook, basically.
Yeah, sure.
So from there, I just, again, going back to the video games, I wanted to create something that you could read separately, but they all have small tidbits of information in them that tie them together. So you might buy my book and appreciate the single scenes in there, but there's also in the Dream Venture, there's a couple hints that tie it to the comics, and then the comics go to the graphic novel. So that creative process, it just started with writing. It just started writing the dreams down and kind of starting to tie them together and asking for input from illustrators on how they interpret the dreams. Because I wanted each dream to have a separate feel. Because I could create it, but it's all going to have the same feel. I wanted it to be separate.
That's true. And so let me ask. So like, let's say you have one dream. Let's just say what was the number? What was the first series? What was the first one for your Dream Volution? What was it called?
This Dream Volution is series 1. And
okay.
This is everything that you see now. It's the Dream Venture book.
Okay.
Dream X 1, 2, and 3. The Trinado Special Edition.
Okay.
And Sports Initial Ascension. All 6 of those is series 1.
Okay. So
I took that all on.
I got you. So let's take Dream Venture. Let's take Dream Venture, just for the sake of simplicity. Let's take Dream Venture, and you're looking for an artist to put your dream on the page. Do you, as you put it out there for either your blog or other sites that you use, do you just kind of put out like, hey, every artist, like, go ahead and just give it a try, and then you just kind of pick it from there? Like, how'd that work out?
So I have now I do, but before this started, I would post the dream in like Facebook groups, comic Facebook groups, and I would post like 2 or 3 dream names.
Okay.
And they're just generic names, but it kind of gives like an overall picture of what the dream entails.
Gotcha.
And I say, if any of you are not busy and you want to take this on, I need a single scene illustration. And I might have a few people message me and say, hey, this one sounds like, for example, one dream's called 2 Moons. So I'd have a couple people message me on 2 Moons. And then I would send them the dream, let them read it. And if they wanted to take it on, we would collaborate on what we kind of wanted it to look like. And then they would start the sketch process out. And then I'll go from there.
Okay. Now we're cooking with fire. Because from traditional comic standpoint, it sounds insane because of how direction can go from hither and thither. But your process, once again, is very unique. I've never heard it done this way before. I've seen writers put out for test pages and things of that nature, but to make a collaborative effort on a story that they honestly just they're not sure of, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Well, I wanted the illustrator's input because they are the visual part of it, and me being visual, I wanted that aspect to be appreciated. So like the first journal itself is 50 dreams. It's written out, and I want it to be raw. Wow. I want it to be the tome, the actual beginning of the game, Dream Volution.
Okay.
So it's just very raw. It's just, there's probably some misspelled words in there and everything, but I wanted it to be raw, but I wanted the illustrators to stand out. But it's the beginning. It's the beginning of the series.
Huh. That is interesting. So it's
Like
kind
you're
of like,
starting the game
sorry,
at the
Nathan, go
beginning,
ahead. I'm
and you
sorry.
got a wood stick, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you need to level up. That's how I wanted to feel.
Interesting. That is interesting. So it's kind of like we're going on a journey of EverQuest, more or less.
Yeah.
So
Ever
yeah. So we're starting on level 1. We're making mistakes. We're having problems. Our mana ain't high enough. Whatever the deal is.
And I made mistakes.
That's
For
interesting.
sure.
So it's kind of like a journey, not only within your dreams, but as your growth as not only as a writer, but as a person, as because your dreams also, in some cases, reflect your progress, things that you want, things you desire, things that you failed at. So it just kind of builds upon itself.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. That is very it's truly unique. That is actually very unique. I am thoroughly impressed by that process. That is very unique, Nathan. Wow.
I have learned a lot about the comic book industry over the last 2.5 years, and how much it really takes to create a comic in a series and a graphic novel. It's absolutely amazing what some of these people do, and it's just amazing. It's really cool, and I appreciate it all. I mean, you got editing, you got scripting, you got thumbnailing. I mean, it's just crazy how much stuff goes into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's underappreciated by a lot of people. And hopefully it can just continue to grow and be more appreciated. Because, I mean, look at all these movies on Amazon and stuff. It's just, they're all coming from comics and graphic novels.
All of them.
So hopefully it continues to grow and people appreciate it.
Absolutely. And like as a comic producer myself, it's the creative process. It's we use a term, the grind never ends. That's a term we all use especially in the indie comics community. It's the grind never ends. Because right when you think you got it figured out, something there's another wrinkle, or there's something that's growth in your writing, or maybe the way that you did art on a book a couple years ago. You're like, hey, you know what? We got to rework this because now it doesn't really reflect well on the new stuff. Like it does not end. It always is pushing forward. Like I'm in the midst. Actually, last night I was up to about 2 a.m. or so, working on issue number 6 of my series.
Okay.
That's just the way it is. It's like, hey, I gotta get this done, gotta get this produced. I gotta make sure that the print lines up with the ink and all this stuff that goes into it. It is a grind, but everybody grinds differently. But I must say I've never heard this before. You are a first, Nathan. You are a first to tell me about this form of creative process, and I think that is very cool. You're gonna go on my Mount Rushmore. I'm gonna put you right up there. So that's
I'm not there yet, man. I'm not there.
I'm gonna put Nathan's creative process right there. That's where I'm gonna put it at. That was really cool. I really like that. So, of all the dreams that you have produced thus far, which one has been your favorite?
That's hard because I like the ones that are vivid enough, like I can still remember today. And like in DreamX 2, there's one called Black Hood Society. It's about 9 pages. Illustrator from Argentina, Marco, and I might mispronounce a little bit, Marco Aurelius Linares. He's amazing sketch artist. And then when he starts throwing colors in, he did that dream, and but it was very vivid. Some basic guy that looks like a half goat kicking stones. Like I can see that in my head, and he reproduced it pretty well, and he took it to another level. So I really like that dream, and I almost think that I could turn that into a whole comic book itself. Because it was pretty vivid. And then there are other ones too, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, something about that one it's always in the back of my head that I could probably just make like a one-off special edition or something for DreamX.
And I personally believe that every creator has a favorite of whatever it is that they're creating. Granted, like as creators, we usually are worst critics. 9 times out of 10, we're worst critics. Like, this is trash. Ah, this is trash. Ah. But when you start producing things that you really enjoy, that you start getting emotionally attached to a certain aspect or certain character and everything like this. So, like me, I write in the action comic genre, and I am what we call a villain guy. I am a villain guy because I believe that most heroes are milquetoast, and villains are what makes them cool. Like, even though my protagonist is a really cool character, I fell in love with one of my villains in a couple of my issues named Sharkbait, which was like a tribute to Creature of the Black Lagoon and to that type of horror. But at the same time, he was like kind of like Frankenstein with
Okay.
I'm a monster, but I'm not really a monster. Sure. Until you push me, and now I gotta be a monster. And I resonated with that character so very much,
Right.
because I've been that guy. I've been labeled as a monster from time to time in my life for things that were completely out of my control. But I'm like, hey, look, I'm not a monster, but if you push me,
Sure.
I will become a monster. And so I see exactly where you're coming from, when you're talking about that creative vision and that dream, and how you like, hey, this can be a good standalone for an entire series. I know exactly what you mean by that. Absolutely, 110%. I resonate with that for sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can that are in the creative world. There's just a couple items that stick with you closer than others. Not saying you don't like and appreciate everything you've done, but I don't know, there's just something that is a part of you on those one or two items. I get it totally.
Exactly, and that's the way it is. And but that's how we relate to everything as people. That's how we connect. That's the
Right.
way, that's the way it works. That's how the brain works. So that's how it goes. So what are you currently working on now? Now you've produced multiple series of Dream Volution, but what are you cracking on right now, Nathan?
I'm actually getting ready to start the Dream Venture 2 book.
Okay.
So we have the whole series printed, ready to go for Dream Volution Series 1. The Dream Venture book is printed. All 4 comics, DreamX 1, 2, 3, and Trinado, and Schwarzenegger Ascension, the graphic novel. All of them are printed and ready to go. That's all self-funded in indie. I'm self-published, everything.
Isn't it great? It's great to have control of your own
Yeah,
destiny.
I mean, it was hard work.
Oh.
And some of the illustrators went through a long time too, so I appreciate them. And then so I'm actually getting ready to do Dream Venture 2. I want to get that going, but I'm going to switch up the format for Dream Venture 1. There's a lot of writing in Dream Venture 1, and the artwork I just didn't think was showcased as well as I thought. So Dream Venture 2, I'm going to cut it down from 50 dreams to 24 dreams.
Okay.
And I'm going to make it a picture book. And it's going to be 8.5 or 11 by 8.5 letterbox style. And the dreams will be on the back. So it'll be about a 48-page look-like comic. But it's not going to be paneled. It's just going to be full-page illustrations. And what I really want to do with those is I'm going to talk to a puzzle manufacturer, and some of the dreams that are in there that have a whole lot of scenes, I'm going to turn those into puzzles. And the corresponding comic, I'm going to see if we can get those in there, so the illustrators are really highlighted with the puzzles as well. I just think puzzles are really cool. A lot of people do. And I think the whole series could turn into a pretty good puzzle as well.
That does sound pretty cool. Wow.
And then, keeping the same format, that book will have 24 dreams in it. About 14 or 15 of them will be turned into comics. Wow. And then the DreamX 4, 5, and 6 will come of it. And I already have a special edition. I'm going to call it Chaos, because in my second graphic novel, Schwarzenegger's brother's in that, and he meets up with a guy I had in a dream that I call Chase Osh, and for short, his nickname's Chaos.
Nice. I like
That's
that.
one of those characters you would probably like.
I love a double entendre. I love wordplay. That's awesome. That's a lot. I mean, that's a heck of a project that you're undertaking, but that is really cool. That is really cool. Wow.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I already have the content written. I just need the illustrations. If I can get the illustrations going, I could have 5 series out with 30 comics, 5 books, and 5 graphic novels in 2 months if I could get the illustrators.
Oh yeah, of course. If nonstop, get them hands moving.
Yeah, go.
Don't you dare stop. What do you mean water? Get out of here. That's
stick
awesome.
figures? I can do stick figures.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. But Nathan, thank you so very much for coming on and sharing all of your great work. So where can folks find you and find your work at?
I have just a small website you can order the items off of, the book, the 4 comics and the graphic novel, called thedreamvolution.com. I'm at the Dream Volution on Instagram, and then I'm at Dream Volution on Twitter. And then I have a small private group of all of the illustrators who have already done work with me and other people who've read the stuff that like it on Facebook called the Dream Volution. So I use that group. I always put out my ideas first to that group. If any illustrators in there want to pick it up, I go to them first.
Okay, dope. So everybody, check out Nathan Murray and the Dream Volution. I'm gonna leave all the links in the description section below. Check him out. Follow him on all his social media. Tell him how awesome his ideas are, because he's really putting forth a real strong effort, especially coming from his origins to being where he is now in the independence community. Definitely deserves a tip of the do-rag without question. So Nathan, I want to first of all, I can't even talk anymore. I'm so blown away by all the stuff you've been doing. I can't even talk. I want to sincerely thank you for making the time to come on to the Indie Corner and share all your great work and being a part of the independence community.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you for taking the time, and thank you for letting me come back when I had to cancel the first time. So I appreciate you sticking with me.
No problem at all. Well, everybody, be sure to check out, it'll be this way, Nathan, all his work. He's great. He's tremendous. And ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the first season of the Indie Corner. Yay! So thank you to Nathan and all those other guests I've had over this past season. You all have been wonderful, fantastic, and great. But this is the Indie Corner. I am Dre the Brute Daniels. Definitely follow me on all my social media. It will be right under my face at TheBrute00 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of them at TheBrute00. Namely, try to follow me on Twitter. Trying to get my Twitter followers up, so I would love to have some folks follow me there and to chit chat and tell me what's going on. So everybody, once again, that's Nathan Murray, the King of Dreams. And I am Dre the Brute Daniels, and I will catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the Spinwiz app and check out my comic series, Trouble. It was written with a lot of love, and it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish, so whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.